All right.
Record.
Ringing.
Hello,
Hello, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this Evan?
that's me.
Evan, this is Dominique. I'm a local real estate agent. And I noticed if you have your house for sale and you're selling it by owner. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I decided to give you a quick call today, obviously, because I work with a lot of buyers and sellers here in the area to see just how things are working out for you.
Well, I just posted yesterday and things are going great so far. I haven't had too many calls yet, but I was warned by a friend that I would get a lot of calls from realtors.
Okay.
Are you trying to list my house, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, again, I was just calling to see how things are going. It sounds like they're going very well, so that's
Mhm.
good to hear. And then it sounds like your friend did warn you that you might have agents trying to list the property for you. And I
Yeah.
mean, I understand that clearly, if you wanted to list the property, have the property listed by an agent, you would have done that already, right? So I
For sure.
understand where you're coming from. And at the same time, too, I mean, was saving the commission the main reason why you decided to list it yourself instead of
Well,
using an agent?
I have agents available. I
Mhm.
just I figured I would do this first.
Mm,
And if I can sell if I can get my house sold in the next few weeks,
mhm.
then great. Then if not, then I figure then I'll hire an agent. Not a big deal. And my house has I've done so many, like, my backyard has been tailored to. I've spent so much money on it over the past few years, and my kitchen's so beautiful. Like, I don't think I'm gonna have any trouble. You know what I mean? I think I can go for sale by owner just fine.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I had the chance to take a look at the photos and I can definitely see what you mean. I mean, why
Yeah, okay.
not give it a try yourself? You don't have a fixer, you have a beautiful move-in ready home. And if anything happens, maybe a few weeks down the line, then consider working with an agent. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I got you, and I completely respect that. And if I were in your shoes, honestly, I'd do the same because given what 99% of all agents do out there, aside from myself, of course. And I mean, let me ask you this, Evan: if there was a way where by working with me, I'd be able to more than make up for my own commission and actually help you walk away from the closing table with more money than you would by selling it yourself. I mean, is that something that you would be interested in just hearing about?
Probably when the time comes. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have a few agents in mind.
Hmm.
So, when that time comes, if it does come, then I can save your number. And actually, if you want to give me your email, I can just email you when I feel I'm ready.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, let me grab your email real quickly, and then I'll definitely make sure to reach out within a few weeks. I'll still be selling real estate then. So, what's your email?
Yeah, sure. It's dot 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 at dot com.
Okay, so I have dot 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 at dot com. And let me ask you this too, Evan. I mean, regardless of whether we were to meet 2 weeks from now, 2 days from now, 5 months from now, I mean, would you say that your biggest priority is to net the most money and walk away with the most money possible on the sale of your home?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, hard to say anything other than that.
Yeah. And I'm curious. I mean, if there is a way, because I am confident that there is a way to make that happen for you by working with me. I mean, is that something where, and it's no obligation, hear me out 20 minutes. And if you don't feel as confident as I am, then I can more than benefit you financially in the sale of your home. I mean, wouldn't it wouldn't you want to meet today, maybe for 20 minutes just to hear it out?
I just think I think I'm just not ready yet today. I'm just not ready yet. It's just something I would have to think about a little bit more.
Okay, and I understand. Obviously, I just called you out of the blue,
Mhm.
and you have your path, and you're kind of moving along with your plan. And in no means I want to be upfront. I'm not here to disturb your plans in any way. And if anything, I just want to share with you what I do and how I work differently, and the proven marketing techniques that my team and I have developed to sell homes in the area, and then share that with you. And at the end of our meeting, I mean, even if you don't decide to work with me, or you decide to give me a call, like you said, 3 weeks from now, I mean, at the very least, if we were to meet today, you would have a great list of ideas on how to market your property while you're still trying to sell it yourself. So, I mean, would you have time later today? And we can even do it by video conference. So it's really, you don't have to go out of your way. I mean, video conference, 20 minutes. If you don't like what I have to say, I mean, you can just click out in the first 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I don't think I would click out on it. I think that'd be kind of rude, but
I hope not. I mean, okay, great. So what time would work best for you?
well, let's do 4 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. So, and I'll have you down at 4, and I'll make sure to, I have your email, so I'll send you the information. It's very easy to kind of get it set up on either phone or computer. And then so I can better prepare for our meeting, just have a quick couple of questions. So when you do go ahead and sell this home, where will you be moving to?
So we're actually moving to Nevada.
Oh, nice. Are you going down to the Vegas area, or is it up closer to Tahoe?
Tahoe.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, got it. And how soon would you like to be out there?
Well, so we don't really have a set deadline. I mean, obviously it's approaching winter. Winter's not a big deal there,
Yeah.
but we still would like to, we like the warm. So we'd like to be there in within a few months, within like
Okay.
probably like 2 months.
Okay, so 2 months ideally you'd like to be out there because you don't want to essentially move out there during this dead of winter, snowy and everything like that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, when we were talking just earlier now, I mean, you said you were planning, you had a few agents in mind, if the time were to come to use an agent. And let me ask you this, what specifically are you looking for in the agent that you will hire?
That's something that was actually something I haven't thought of yet, something that I had on noted that I needed to think about.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing is probably trust. Obviously, I need to be able to trust the person. I think, that's probably a big reason I'm selling for sale by owner, even though, money is probably, the bigger reason, but I want to make sure that I trust the agent and, they're going to do what they say they're going to do, and they're going to communicate with me when something comes up, and they're going to be honest with me if there's something that's not good and not sugarcoat things.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. And I know it sounds like you haven't come across that agent yet. And I can assure you that the way that we work, we always make sure to stay in top communication with our clients, because this is ultimately, sales is a communication business. Everything's a communication business. And so we've definitely trained to make sure that we hear the clients out and make sure their needs are addressed. So I want to assure you that you will be fine on that end. And I mean, are you planning on interviewing any other agents at this time, or am I the only one kind of getting a preview meeting?
Well, let me say, I appreciate what you said. And right now, no, I'm not planning on meeting with any other agents.
Okay.
Yeah, no, just you so far.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to hear. And then when I see you, I just want to confirm you have your home listed for 500,000, and that's ideally what you'd like to sell it for, correct?
Yes, 500,000.
500,000. Okay. And then how much do you owe on the property?
It's actually all paid off.
It's all paid off. Well, good for you. So there's a lot of equity to protect here then. Okay. Got it.
And so, I want to list it for 500,000. And so I don't understand how, if I do list with an agent, that if I add an extra, what is that, 30 grand on top, I think. I mean, I don't know, how much commission do you charge?
That's a great question, Evan, and that's something that we'll definitely cover in our conversation. So no matter what other agents may tell you, commissions are negotiable. So what I like to do is I like to sit down, share with clients what I do and how I can benefit them financially, and then allow the conversation to go from there. Now, in terms of you bring up a very good point in terms of the math. And I can see that the math is probably not making too much sense to you. And again, that's something that it will make more than make sense once we're in our conversation today. And what I want to
Okay.
say is, yeah, it'll make more than, oh God, just shut up, just say that. It'll make a lot more sense.
You're good.
In our conversation later on today at 4. And so I want to assure you that that question, that huge question mark, will be addressed. And then I'll kind of end it out here with a final question. I mean, well, first off, all the decision makers will be there, correct? All the owners of the property and anyone else you would like to help me make the decisions on the home.
Well, so my husband actually, it's just going to be you and me. Actually, my husband is not going to be home till about 5:30.
Oh, okay. 5:30. Okay. Well, is there a way where we can maybe shift the meeting back to include your husband? Is that possible? Would it be better to have it at like 6 o'clock maybe?
I would prefer it just to be you and me, because I mean, like, when he gets off work, I mean, he's pretty tired. He works. He's a blue collar worker. He's a hard worker. So,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean. I think it's something you and I could probably handle.
Yeah, I completely agree. My concern is, I completely agree. And ultimately, I mean, like you said, you want an agent that is there for you and able to hear out your needs and able to communicate, correct? And in order for me to best be able to do that, it's definitely helpful to have both you and your husband present. So that way, everything is addressed, all questions are answered, and all questions are answered. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, let's shoot for, we can do 6 then. I do need to call him and let him know
Okay.
and make sure he's okay with that, because I
Okay.
obviously we weren't planning on meeting agents.
Yeah.
And we were warned about this. So let's do 6.
Okay. Okay. So I'll put it in at 6, and I'll shift that down. Not a problem at all. And then let me ask you this too, Evan. I mean, at the end of our meeting, if you and your husband are confident and you can see clearly how hiring me is the best financial decision that you can make, I mean, would you be willing to go ahead and list the property with me so we can get started and get you to Tahoe in 2 months?
I guess I'd have to see how my husband feels about it. I'm not too sure. I mean, I can't promise anything right now,
Yeah.
because I
Okay.
mean,
And
I was planning on, like keeping it on for sale, by keeping it on Zillow for a few weeks, up to a month maybe.
Okay. Yeah, no, I hear you. Okay. So it's really, and that makes total sense. Again, you just met me over the phone. You don't know how I work and how I operate. I mean, and at the same time, hypothetically speaking, it's just pure hypothetical scenario. If I am able to show you and your husband how, in working with me as your agent, I can more than make up for my commission, and it would be the best investment to get this property sold for top market price. I mean, again, hypothetical situation, I won't hold you to it. In that case, would you be willing to list the property with me so we can get started on that?
Probably. I mean, obviously, if things make more sense, I don't want to be, obviously, I try to think I'm a smart person, so I would try to take the best. My time would better be spent taking another route for sale by owner than obviously taking that route. It's not something I can see right now, but if you can change my mind, sure. I mean, I'd be open to it.
You be open to it. And hey, you answered the question, and that's exactly what I like to hear. And I'm assure you, Evan, I am confident that I will demonstrate that to you in our call later, in our Zoom meeting later today. Okay.
Okay.
So I look forward to seeing you and your husband at 6. And I'll send you the information just shortly before, so you can hop on and meet me in the Zoom. Okay.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Dominique.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay.
That was good. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't notice, what the hell does that mean? I wrote clue. I don't know what but I don't know what that was going. Oh, close. Jeez, that's an S.
Oh, yeah.
Close.
I know.
So I do not know, because I don't think you were there for this one. It was when you're doing an open house, but I did a role play with Jackie, like on a Tuesday or a Thursday, like in the meeting.
I don't
She
know.
started doing those. So yeah, I did it in front of everyone. It was fucking scary shit, I'm not gonna lie. But
Wait,
And
you were the agent and she
I
was the
was the
FSBO?
agent. Oh, wait,
Oh,
sorry. No, actually, she was just listening, and I was the agent, and someone else was the FSBO, and
oh,
then
okay,
she
okay, okay,
critiqued me.
okay,
So in there, I mean, something I need to work on. I have a lot of soft closes that I need to get out,
okay.
and I don't know. And you started with a soft close. It was a little bit choppy too, right?
Yeah,
Um, and a lot of her videos, she'll start with a soft close, and she'll say, "Would you consider it? Would you be open to it?" Blah blah blah. And then after that, then she'll go. Then her next closes will be like 3 or 4:30 or blah blah blah. So how do
yeah.
you feel about that? Because I don't know what to do there.
Um,
Because she told me only use hard closes.
oh, she said only use hard closes?
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I feel like I should probably do hard closes. I don't think I did any in there because it just didn't, I think because I was just treating it as a conversation. Um,
It just come off very conversational, like, which is, I mean, I think that's a good thing, or it can have some cons too, obviously. So
yeah, yeah. But I think I could have incorporated like more hard closes. Yeah, because I only think I closed twice. I think hard closes are good ultimately because you don't want to, because I'll catch myself like 10 minutes into a conversation with a FSBO and then I haven't, and we're just kind of going in circles and
yeah,
like, you
same.
know what I mean? And we're just talking and then it's a good conversation, but it's still like not, they're like,
So
no, thank you, but we're enjoying the conversation and it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
yeah,
So I think hard closes are good to incorporate throughout. And I think because if they, I don't know, I've also noticed too, if they come too far at the end, then it can kind of come off as like, oh, wait a minute, before you hang up, are you sure you don't want to meet with me for 10 minutes, like 20 minutes today at 4 o'clock? It's kind of like, it's out of nowhere. So I can see how like incorporating them throughout, it just becomes a pattern, just becomes a pattern, just becomes a pattern. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I see. And then so the decision maker one, when you asked if there was going to be decision makers, I
Yeah.
think you handled that really well. I think first of all, when I first said no, I think I could tell like you were like, oh shit. And then, but like the way you answered it is because you incorporated what I said about communication. I was
Yeah.
like, ah, shit, you're right. He needs, like, I asked for communication. She wants to communicate with my husband too. So
Yeah.
it made a
Yeah.
lot of sense. That was really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, how do you feel about it? I thought it was really good.
Thank you. I felt good about it. There were, I think I would have closed a little bit more. Now you mentioned it. Now we talked about the close. I'm trying to think the big ones that I could like feel. I think my words were a little bit jumbly in a few parts, and I don't know, because I think I was just thinking too much in my head, so it kind of made the words jumble out a little bit. Um, but I think that's just like a little me thing that I'm probably nitpicking. But other than that, I felt good about it.
I mean, so as far as, I mean, that's up for you whether you like, but when you do, like, you're obviously critiquing yourself like mid conversation, like I didn't even notice you were jumbling your words unless you did it like a few times in a row, then I would notice. But like there was only one time I think I noticed before you
Okay.
like critique yourself. But like every other time, it just seems almost natural. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like when jumbles the words in normal conversation. Whether
Okay.
you want to actually do that or not, that's up to you. But I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, nitpicking. I think
Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
so.
All
Yeah.
right. Then,
So
so
what
let's
else?
go into. Okay. So then let's go into the first. I'll probably need to do like a few minutes. So let's go to the first part of the presentation.
Okay.
Which I have not. It's over. Oh my
So
god.
FSBO or expired?
FSBO.
So do you have it all printed out and everything?
So I have the outline printed out in front of me, but it's so different. I haven't printed out the actual like transcribed the actual presentation itself.
Yeah, she
And
doesn't
then
have one. So
yeah, and each one is so different. So I'm like, shit, which one do I like do? But I've been watching them, so I'm gonna try to like get through the first part, basically through the first two statistics. So we'll see. Okay. All right, so we sit down. Evan's there, your husband is there, and here we go. Okay. I mean, Evan and Frank, thank you again for the opportunity to meet with me. I really do appreciate it. being able to share with you how I can benefit you financially in the sale of this property. And before we get started too, I just wanted to check in with you guys. Did you receive the email that I sent just 15 minutes before we hopped on this Zoom conversation? It would have been two. It included the market absorption analysis, and the other one included the listing agreement.
Yeah, so I've taken a look at the market absorption analysis, if that's what,
Okay.
if that's what you said.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Frank hasn't looked at it yet.
Okay, no problem. We'll definitely make sure to cover in our conversation. And then, so the way I wanted to start this off is obviously when you and I, Evan, talked on the phone, I should be making like eye contact. Oh, this is like actual Zoom. Okay. When you and I had been talking on the phone, the big question mark was how exactly is this lady going to benefit us financially when we've already listed the property at a certain amount? How does the math work? And I don't want to assure you up front, I'm very aware of where you're coming from, and I understand that concern for you, and it will be addressed in our conversation today. And to begin as well in that direction, I mean, I want to take you guys back, both of you, back to our economics class in high school or in college, and the law of supply and demand.
It was a minute ago.
What's that?
I said that was a minute ago, high school.
It was a minute ago. I know it'll have to reach back into our minds. And so if you can remember, and this is something too that we've come to realize even as adults, is when it comes to the law of supply and demand, the more demand that there is for any product or service, whether it's a house, a boat, food, gasoline, whatever, the more demand that there is, then the higher the price of that product or service can be, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And the same thing applies with real estate, just as it would with anything else. Oh my God. Okay, keep going. And the same thing applies with real estate. So have you heard of the National Association of Realtors?
I think I've seen, I'm pretty sure it's a term we've heard of before. I think, we've seen some ads and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the National Association of Realtors, they oversee all realtors here in the United States, and they also provide and do a lot of in-depth research and studies on residential sales for going back decades. And so they really do a great job of tracking supply and demand in terms of the housing market over a long period of time. And so each year they do a study and they dive into essentially how how the housing supply affects demand and how demand affects prices of homes. And so going back to that example of supply and demand, I mean, if there's more demand for housing, what effect do you think that has on pricing of homes in general?
Well, I think that's kind of what's been up with our market, right? Is that there's just so much demand, and that's why the prices have risen. So I think, to answer your question, I think the prices would rise, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what 2020 and this year has been about. You have this huge pool of buyers that are hungry for houses, and it's pushed prices to a point that they've been the highest they've been in some areas in the history of our country. And so then seeing that play out, you would agree then that all that, I don't know how to get one voice. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Sorry.
No, you got it.
You would agree that, I mean, having top demand gets you top market price then, just seeing how everything has played out with this whole economy in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Obviously, you want as much. I mean, I haven't really thought of it in terms of supply and demand, but yeah, I mean, it's a house. You want as much demand as you can get.
Exactly. In order to get top market price. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. In order to get top market price. And so what's really interesting to Evan and Frank is that the National Association of Realtors, what they've gone ahead and done is they not only do they track all the demand and track all the supply, but they also track where the buyers are coming from and how they're finding these houses and how they're making these purchases. And so in their studies, and this is something that's been true this year, last year, going on and forth since when they first started doing this research, is that 92% of all the buyers that are out there work with a real estate agent in the purchase of their property. And what I mean by that, work with a real estate agent, that means that transaction. So 92% of all the transactions out there are handled not only by a buyer's agent, but are also handled by a listing agent. Were you familiar with that?
Not specifics, no, but I mean, that's a lot of people. 92%. That's, you know, definitely strong. I see what you're saying though. I mean, that would make sense to most people. I mean, like all my friends use an agent, so to buy their houses and sell their houses. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a great point. Most people use agents to buy their homes because the services, if you think about it, the services of a real estate agent are essentially free to them because they are paid by the seller, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so as a buyer, I mean, if your average buyer has a full-time job, kids, working 9 to 5, having the services of a professional real estate agent, and you don't have to essentially pay for those until, of course, until the property closes and it comes out to the lender. But if those services are offered to you for free, I mean, as a buyer, as a seller, it makes sense to see how that 92% number, why it's so large, right?
For sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it's free, like you're saying. So
Exactly. And so in the same study that the National Association of Realtors did, that other 8%, that's where they found that buyers would actually purchase for sale by owners and purchase homes directly from the seller itself. And what's even more curious too is half of that 8%, that's new builders. So 4% are homes that are sold where the people walk into the office of those new fancy, like custom built homes, and they sit down at the office and they purchase it. So for sale by owners, they actually only make up about 4% of the transactions that are out there.
did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, it's shocking. And here's the thing too, Evan, and why this is very relevant to you and the sale of your property, because I know you're thinking these are national numbers. How does that affect us in the sale of this property? And so what the same study, same research, what the National Association of Realtors went further to find out is of those 4% of for sale by owners, they found that their properties were selling for 26% less than properties that were listed with an agent and were handled with an agent in those transactions.
26% less, huh?
26% less, yeah.
And that's just for sale by owners in general, huh?
That's for sale by owners in general. That's what they found. Just nationwide, for sale by owners were selling their properties for 26% less.
Well, how is that? I mean, because like my home is, I mean, it's a home is still a home, right? So it's hard to see that it will lose value. Are you saying it's because of that supply and demand that we were talking about earlier?
Exactly. And I love how you made that connection instantly. And I hope, Frank, that you see that too. So when it comes to supply and demand, like you said, because all the demand among buyers is to use an agent, and that's where everyone is. I mean, you have 92% of all that. I like to think of it this way as two different islands. So you have this island where 92% of the buyers are, and that's where all that demand is. And you have this island of 8%. And that's where for sale by owners and new custom home builders, that's where they fall into. And so essentially, by selling your property by owner, you're advertising it and you're only exposing it to the people that are over here on that 8% island.
So what I need to do then, you're saying, is make sure that the other 92%, that other island, gets exposed to my house. I need to make sure I'm doing more marketing, is what you're saying.
Well, that's what you can do. You can definitely do a lot more marketing. You can definitely do advertising in order to bridge that gap. That is possible. And so I guess what I'm saying, but what I'm really saying here, Evan, is that by working with a real estate agent, a professional agent like myself, you're actually able to you're actually, oh shit, this is where I get lost. I don't know the presentation.
Oh,
You're actually able to create that demand for your property and create that pent up. You're able to create that demand for your property and create an auction like effect when it comes to your home. And that's what it will take to get your property sold for top market price. Because I want to ask you this too. So when you think about it, if we agreed that 100% of demand of the market equals top market price when it comes to anything, a house, a car, a boat. So if you're only exposing yourself and you only have the attention of 8% of the market, I mean, that's where you get and you see that drop, that significant difference in price.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I think I just need to make sure, like, I think you're saying, as far as the island, like if I list with you, I could be on the mainland.
Exactly.
But I could just do some extra marketing, and I mean, maybe you could help me figure out how to do that extra marketing that would give me that extra 92%, if that's possible.
You know what? And you bring up a great point. And I know that you're thinking, hey, I mean, if it's just a matter of advertising ourselves to the mainland, I mean, that's doable without actually bringing people, without actually having to go over there. And that is true. However, there are, however, one of the, oh my God, I need to know this presentation, but I don't.
You got it.
However, there are many, many, many reasons that agents on the mainland, they don't necessarily like crossing over into that 8% island. And this goes into, I mean, their liability issues. I can really go on into just the way that brokers are training their agents now, the way that our agency laws are set up, and there's implied agency even if they don't represent you, and that affects all these different things. But the main thing that I want to focus on and share with you is the reason why it would be beneficial for you to work with an agent and to get on that mainland is when it comes to walking away with top market price. Exposure is the biggest thing. And obviously working with an agent, you'll be on the mainland. But the other thing too, no matter what you sell, is the actual terms that you negotiate between you and the buyer, right? And so by having a real estate agent, I'm able to save you tens of thousands of dollars, because here's what happens, especially when you're on, because here's what happens with all buyers, no matter, and this is something that everyone goes through. Buyers will come in and they'll inspect the property. They'll hire inspectors whose job it is to nitpick everything, whether the kitchen sink is leaking, whether one of the cabinet drawers doesn't close all the way, whether one of the, if a garden gnome is like hiding or moldy or something like that. And these are true examples. And those are things that inspectors will go through. And then people will sit down with their agent and they'll ask for thousands and tens of thousands of dollars off on the price in order to get and they'll ask for tens of thousands of dollars off the price. And so I, as your agent, can step in and actually make sure to negotiate the right things on your behalf and to be able to keep that deal together. And that's really important too, because most real estate agents, I mean, my experience has allowed me to negotiate transactions and still keep the deal together. Whereas most agents, if they get an inspection that says, oh, $20,000, let's just kick them out and find the next one, and the deal falls apart and they're not able to find that next one. And so I'm able to keep deals together and get everyone to the end of the door where you're still able to walk away with top market price. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'll be honest, we haven't really thought much about the period after we get a buyer, you know what I mean? We've kind of really just thought about the marketing and making sure that we get under contract basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have, I mean, these are things that even the top agents in the area, these are things everyone still faces. And so of course you wouldn't have thought that would be an issue. And it's something that everyone faces all the time. And yet it's something that my team and I, we are well versed in, because of our experience. I mean, combined 50 years experience in this business to be able to work through and navigate our clients successfully through. And okay, what time is it? This is awful. I'm gonna stop right here.
No, so I think everything sounds good. Just the biggest thing is just, knowing the script.
Yeah. And like, this outline is not helpful. I need to like, dude, this is so not helpful. I'm like, long supply and demand, auction, what the, okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. What I personally did is, obviously on her Wednesdays on skills training, she has a lot of different scripts and a lot of different talking points. Like I went and typed all those out.
Okay.
And then the one I typed out, the listing presentation she has, is the one with Jacqueline. That's the one I ended up typing out and following that one. I like that one the most.
Okay.
But then I ended up modifying it and changing it. So that's what I would do.
Okay.
It does take a minute.
Yeah, no, I have to, because I'm like, this is so okay.
That's what I tried doing first too. So
does she start off with the laws supply and demand? Because I was tripping myself up. I'm like, how do I incorporate law supply and demand and like add the NAR and then bring it? It was just like a lot in my head.
Yeah, so for the first talking point she has usually is the 92%.
Okay.
And she'll introduce that in different ways. That's something I need to work on too. I don't really know the answer to that one, on how to transition from the greeting, and then so she'll usually do 92% and then the 26 or 24% statistic.
Okay.
And then one thing, a route that I personally wouldn't take is when I said, oh, so the reason they're selling for that much less is because of supply and demand that we were talking about earlier. And I think so the route you ended up taking was saying, yes, that's why. And you kind of committed to that being the only reason why at the time. And so I got stuck on, so if I just fix my marketing, then I'm good. I think a better route to take would be like, yes, that is a huge reason why, but there's a bunch of reasons why too.
Yes. Okay. And not just cornering on one and then be like, okay, yeah. So I just need to, okay.
Thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's 92% and then 24% usually. She does take some other routes sometimes.
Okay.
But for me, that one's the best to take.
Okay. And then so when does the supply and demand, that happens after the 92% and the 26%?
Oh, sorry. So supply, I consider the 92% the supply and demand. So
okay.
So usually, like start the 92% talking about supply and demand.
Okay.
And then that 92%, wait, let me think. The 92% is like generally in the middle, because as far as the supply and demand, she introduces supply and demand. Before she does 92%, she makes sure that on a lot of them, she makes sure she says, so we agree that we need 100% of the buyers and 100% of the agents that have buyers to sell this house for top market value. And then she introduces the 92%. As realize, and then after that she'll ask the question, how much does 8% equal for you?
Okay. And
so that's
then
kind of the 4 steps.
The 20s. Okay.
Then the 26%, like based on like, you said you think it drops to 10%, it actually drops it this much, blah blah blah.
Okay. And then so law, supply and demand. So we can agree that 100% of agents, so in order to get top market price, you need 100% of agents. And so like to share with you the 92% statistic. And so if we agreed, so basically if we agreed that 100% of the buyers and buyers agents equals top market price, what do you think 8% equals? And then I share the other one. Okay.
Yeah, share him with reality.
I just need to like take the time to like write this script out, because this is not helping at all.
Yeah. I'm surprised she doesn't have one, honestly. So
yeah, I know. That's okay. All right. Well,
I thought you're so even though you didn't obviously you're still working on the script, I thought your tone was still very good, very concerning and convincing. I think convincing is the main word I would use. It seemed very, very good.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll take that.
And I'm actually doing a video with Jackie. We're filming it later today.
Are you really?
A FSBO presentation, yeah, like right after the Tuesday training.
Dang.
So
you're gonna be her FSBO, right?
What's that?
Are you gonna be her FSBO?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the FSBO.
Dang. Okay.
So yeah, we'll see
Give
how
her
that
your
goes.
best. Give her like the hard ones so we can
Oh,
figure
I'm
out.
not gonna go easy. Yeah, I'm just afraid I'm gonna be too hard and like ask some weird ass questions. So
Oh my god. She's gonna be like, Evan, come on.
fuck up, you dumb bitch. Yeah, no, we'll see how that goes. So.
Okay. Ooh, that's exciting. I look forward to seeing that posted.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Get
right.
out there.
Well, what's that?
Make some calls. I said, get out there and make some calls.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, I'll see you in a few hours.
All right. I'll see you in a
All
few
right. Good
hours.
luck. I'll post this as soon as I can.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Thank you.
bye.